you thought that you're the best person
Yeah,
hired.
correct.
And in Xavier's case, he probably thought that was the case. And then when things didn't work out and he wanted to resign, then the boss told him, actually, you were not, we kind of know that you're going to fail.
Yeah, can you imagine someone telling you that?
Yeah, and then we only got you in because, you were cheaper.
Now, today's question was sent in by a listener who I'll call Xavier. Now, Xavier wrote to us. He says he's in his 20s and has just resigned from a job. Now, initially, he thought he was not the right person for the job. But after stating his intention to leave, and he told his manager, Xavier started saying that the interactions were a bit disappointing. I read on a little bit more, and it sounded like Xavier was not sure whether he was set up for success in the first place. Xavier says, I knew that I was the first official hire for the position, but I was also saddened to hear from my manager that they knew from the start that having a less experienced individual like myself was not going to work out, and that the higher-ups wanted someone like myself on board because I was much less experienced and therefore would not command as high a salary. Yeah, so Xavier is now searching for jobs, okay? And he wonders if he should disclose what he went through in his next job interview. If asked for his reasons for leaving, should he say what he went through? So if that happens, will it hurt his chances of getting a job?
So sounds like there's actually a few things happening here, right?
Yeah.
The first one is, of course, Xavier and his feelings about how he has departed from the last job. And this has a lot to do with how he feels that he was set up for failure.
Yes.
Right? I think it's probably quite confusing for
Yeah.
Xavier because, when you get into a job first and then you thought that you're the best person
Yeah,
hired.
correct.
And in Xavier's case, he probably thought that was the case. And then when things didn't work out and he wanted to resign, then the boss told him, actually, you were not, we kind of know that you're going to fail.
Yeah, can you imagine someone telling you that?
Yeah, and then we only got you in because, you were cheaper. Xavier, now we can imagine how it's very confusing for him, right? And this definitely would dent his confidence for the future job interviews, especially if he has to tell people like why he wanted to resign without a job.
Yes, correct.
So I think this being a very confusing time for Xavier, Xavier would probably need to find some closure,
Okay.
or some way of thinking or reframing this situation so that it doesn't get carried forward to the future. I think there can be a lot of resentment, a lot of disappointment held with the previous job, and this can actually easily show in the next job. During the interview, when employers, the HR, right, they are sniffing for anything that is not proper.
Yeah.
They will probe a little bit more, and then it gets out. So Xavier has to really come to terms with this situation first, lah. I think I don't know about if you were in Xavier's shoes, what would you do?
Yeah, you know what? It's true. The psychological part is going to be very difficult. But also at the same time, okay, I'm a very half glass full kind of person. So I think the first thing I would do after I have, licked my wounds and, tell myself it's not me, it's them.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the most important
It's not
thing.
me, it's them. I think it would be to also see that actually, even if I was the only person for that role, that the one that I left, and I was, considered, even though less experienced, cheap, but you know what? There must be something in me that the employer found that I was hireable.
Exactly.
Otherwise, they could have just kept the position open.
Yeah.
So maybe I would need to reflect back on my, all the things that I've done and ask myself, what is it about, me that I can bring to the next job role? Are there transferable skills? Are there things that I would consider my strengths? So is that something that I guess Xavier could also, be thinking about?
Yeah, for sure. I think you brought up a really important point, right? That it's them, not you, and you were picked for the job as the best possible hire at that price,
at that point of time.
At that point of time, So I think these are positives, silver linings that Xavier can take along with him. Xavier has to remember that he was doing a job that was outscoped. Scoped to a higher level, more experience. He was trusted with kind of responsibility. And this is something that Xavier can probably take forward to the next employer to share that, I was doing a job that was for someone that was a lot more experienced. I learned a lot from it. I realized that, I needed to find something else.
Yeah, and I can take on more. I've proven that I can take on more. So that's why I'm applying for this job.
Yes.
Okay.
I also like to think that, from Xavier's perspective, why would the boss the supervisor tell Xavier, this.
Yeah, why? That is such a low move.
Yeah, you don't know whether is it low move or could it be because they actually have quite an open relationship,
Okay,
like
like they
good
trust each
communication.
other.
Yeah,
Okay,
they trust
okay.
each
I
other
mean,
to say,
the boss trusts him lah. I don't know whether
yeah,
Xavier should trust him.
correct. Could be that the supervisor really said that to maybe make Xavier feel that it's not you, it's actually us. We did the mistake. So I'm trying to do something good by telling you that. But of course, it has the other unintended effect on Xavier, which is why Xavier wrote in. So I do think that open communication could be something that's also of a silver lining
Okay.
to show that, though things didn't work out, you still, could get along with the people in your company.
Well, Xavier, I hope that, your situation becomes better. And both of us are really sorry that you were put in this position. But, like we have been talking about here, I think there are silver linings in this situation. You can use some of these as you approach your next job interview. Don't let this, one setback really affect you. So if, like Xavier, you have a work-related question, do write into us. We are at cnapodcasts@mediacorp.com.sg. We're also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Me Listen, and YouTube, where a video version of this is at.
I'm Gerald.
And I'm Tiffany. Have a great work week ahead, and don't let anybody tell you you are not good enough.